Hello and welcome. Take a moment to find a comfortable position, allowing your shoulders to become heavy, your hands to soften, and your breathing to slow down. Tonight, we will drift back, far back, into the earliest memories of ancient Rome, long before the empire, long before the marble temples and the busy forums. There was only a river, a quiet forest, and two small brothers whose story became the foundation myth of a civilization. This is the soft, gentle telling of Romulus and Remus. There is no need to focus too hard on the details. Just let the story wash over you, like water moving at its own slow pace. If your thoughts wander, that is perfectly fine. You can drift in and out, and the story will continue to hold you. Let's begin at the Tiber River, on a calm and quiet morning long ago. Before Rome was Rome, the land looked very different. There were hills, yes, the gentle slopes that would later become famous, but they were covered with grasses, wild flowers, and quiet groves of trees. The air was fresh, the river soft and wide, winding its way through the valley. The Tiber flowed steadily, never in a hurry, always moving, but always calm. Birds called from the reeds. Wind moved softly through tall grasses, and there, in that peaceful setting, a story began. If you listen closely, you might imagine the sounds of distant shepherds guiding their flocks, the bells of grazing animals, and the rustling of leaves overhead. Life was simple, slow, and deeply connected to the land. This is the background of the story of the twin brothers, Romulus and Remus. Long before the twins were born, the kingdom around the Tiber was ruled by two brothers, Numitor and Amulius. Numitor was the elder, gentle, and well-liked. Amulius was ambitious, restless, and wanted power for himself. With time, Amulius overthrew his brother and took the throne. Numitor's daughter, Rhea Silvia, became a priestess, sworn to remain childless so that no heirs could challenge Amulius. But mythology often has other plans, and the god Mars, the Roman god of protection and vitality, visited Rhea Silvia. From this union came two infant sons, twin brothers who carried the promise of the future. Amulius, fearing they might grow to challenge him, ordered that the infants be taken to the river and left to fate. The men sent to carry out the command placed the twins in a small wooden cradle. But the river was gentle that day. Instead of sweeping them away, it guided them slowly, softly, towards safety. And this is where the myth takes its most iconic turn. Lupercal. She heard the faint cries of the infants, soft, small, echoing against the stone walls of the cave. Gently, the wolf approached the cradle. She did not growl. She did not bare her teeth. Instead, she lowered her head, sniffed the children, and seemed to understand. The twins, tiny and helpless, reached out with their small hands. The she-wolf curled around them, offering warmth and shelter. Her fur was soft, like a thick blanket, her breathing slow and rhythmic, the perfect sound for little hearts in need of comfort. Day after day, she protected them. She let them rest against her side. She brought them food. She stood guard whenever danger approached. With time, a woodpecker, sacred to Mars, is said to have brought small bits of nourishment as well, a symbol of divine watchfulness. The twins grew stronger, their cries becoming soft babbling, then laughter, echoing gently through the trees. The she-wolf cared for them until a new guardian arrived. One calm afternoon, a shepherd named Faustulus wandered near the cave. He heard a sound, not quite animal, not quite human. Curious, he followed the echoes. There, in the soft shade of the cave, he found the wolf. But instead of running or attacking, she watched him with calm, ancient eyes, then slowly stepped aside. Faustulus saw the two children, alive and healthy. He understood at once that something extraordinary had occurred. He gently knelt down, lifted each child into his arms, and thanked the she-wolf with a quiet nod. He carried the twins home to his wife, Acca Larentia, who welcomed them with warmth and gentle care. Together, the shepherd and his wife raised the boys as their own. They grew up running through the hills, racing along the river, learning the ways of shepherds and farmers. They were strong, curious, and deeply bonded to one another. The land shaped them, the open fields, the flowing Tiber, the soft wind across the hills, and prepared them for the future that awaited. As Romulus and Remus grew into young men, they became known for their fairness, their strength, and their habit of protecting the weak. But their destiny was larger than they knew. One day, during a festival, a conflict arose between local shepherds and men loyal to King Amulius. Remus was captured, taken to the king, accused of wrongdoing. When this happened, Faustulus realized the truth could no longer be hidden. He revealed to Romulus the story of the river, the cradle, and the she-wolf. Romulus, filled with calm determination, gathered his strength and allies. Together, he freed his brother. The twins confronted Amulius and restored their grandfather Numitor to the throne. The old king embraced them, not with fanfare or triumph, but with quiet gratitude. With this chapter of their lives complete, the twins decided to build a new city, a place of their own, on the very land where they had grown up. The twins returned to the land near the Tiber, where their cradle once came to rest. There were several hills, each with its own character. Gentle, rolling curves, soft grass, quiet ridges shaped by the wind. Romulus preferred the Palatine Hill, solid, central, overlooking the valley. Remus preferred the Aventine Hill, a little wilder, a little more remote. To decide fairly, they turned to an ancient tradition of observing scenes, the flight of birds across the sky. Remus saw 6 birds first, but Romulus saw 12. The air grew still, the sky quiet. The brothers looked at one another, uncertain. Both believed they had the rightful sign. Both felt guided by destiny. Both felt chosen. This tension was the turning point of their story, kept extremely gentle and nonviolent. In the soft fog of early morning, a misunderstanding unfolded. Remus, in a moment of frustration, stepped across Romulus's first boundary line, a symbolic gesture not meant to harm, but made in the heat of argument. The boundary, however, held deep meaning to Romulus. Words were exchanged, emotions rose, and in the confusion, Remus stumbled, fell, and did not rise again. The stories differ, but this telling holds it gently, softly, as a moment of sorrow, not anger. Romulus knelt beside his brother, placed a hand on his shoulder, and whispered his name. The air was still, the hills were quiet, and the future of the new city rested in Romulus's hands alone. Carrying his brother's memory with him, Romulus began the long task of building a city. He traced the boundaries, raised the first walls, and welcomed people from all walks of life into the new settlement. This city, born of myth, struggle, and destiny, was named Roma in honor of Romulus and in silent remembrance of Remus. The city grew slowly at first, a cluster of shelters, fires, and pathways, voices echoing softly at dusk, carrying forward the legacy of the twins and the land that shaped them. Over centuries, Rome would rise, but its mythic heartbeat would always come from this story. 2 brothers, a river, a she-wolf, and the quiet hills beside the Tiber. As the story comes to rest, let your mind soften like the quiet surface of the Tiber at dusk. Imagine the hills settling into darkness, the river moving calmly, the soft breeze drifting across the ancient land. You are safe here, in this gentle space between myth and dream. Slow your breathing, release any remaining tension, and allow yourself to drift softly, peacefully, into deep, restful sleep. Good night. Please subscribe for more.